Welcome to Empowered by AI, the podcast for women entrepreneurs ready to harness AI to take their businesses to the next level. I'm your host, Michelle Muncie Silva, founder of Innovative AI Studios. You may have left corporate life to start this entrepreneurial journey, but you don't have to go it alone. Here, you'll find a supportive community of like-minded women and an invaluable thought partner each week, as my guests and I share actionable insights you can use right away. So let's dive in together.
Hello. I am very honored to be talking today with Luisa Molano. And I think that she has such an amazing journey for us to learn from. And I also feel like she has such a really strong grip on what is needed for women's success in the business space. That is not just a success in the area of business, but it's also a sense of success for the woman as a whole. And I want to bring her to you because I think I'm going to learn from this conversation. I want you to be able to as well. Luisa, thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having me and for such a beautiful way that you said my name.
Oh, my goodness. It's the best I can do. And I'm so glad that you liked it. Yeah, I love it. And I really want to talk to you about your journey. I think that you have had such an inspiring transition from corporate leadership to entrepreneurship. And I really want to hear from you. What was that pivotal moment that made you take the leap that has brought you to where you are now?
Yeah, so corporate leadership to entrepreneurship. I started working, my corporate journey started in 2004. Really sunk my teeth into and went deep in HR and specifically recruiting. In 2009, I joined a Fortune 200 company. And not sure if any of you listening are like, oh my God, like growing up, I was like, you got to work for a big company. I'm the kid of a baby boomer. And I was like, the big company, the stability, the security, the pension, those don't exist anymore. But it was like, that was the thing. And so I grew up with that. And I was like, I got to get to this big company. So I landed in 2009, Fortune 200 company and worked at a Fortune 500. So the next tier was a big corporate business. And I did. And the day I walked in, I realized the dream role that I wanted, which was my boss's role. And it took me 7 years to get there. And I climbed and climbed and climbed. Ambitious, overachiever, go-getter. And so I was constantly looking at the rung above the rung I was on and got there. And 3 days after oh my gosh, I did this. Look at me. Holy cow. 7 years later, we got our dream role. I tap, like when you can't find your credit card and you tap your pants and your pockets and you're like, what just happened to that feeling of it was gone. And all there was left was a span of control of 30 plus as a new director at a Fortune 500 company, at a Fortune 200 company. And my biggest deer in headlight look that I could possibly muster. And yet I was like, let's do this. Let's go. And I learned and I grew. But really quickly, I realized I don't think that the next tier for me is VP. I definitely don't see myself being an SVP. And that's probably a whole conversation for another day. But I realized I don't think this is where I want to remain. But it was this, well, what do I do? I've built this, and my fingers are in air quotes if you're listening, empire. I can't just walk away from what I've spent 7 years building. And the universe was like, yeah, you can. You're gonna. I promise you. And I was like, no, universe, you're breaking up. I think, I don't think we have a good connection.
I lost you for a minute. I think you said,
I think you're going under a tunnel. I'll call you back. And to be perfectly blunt, friends, I almost was fired because in my own personal development journey, I had begun to see that there were things I was and wasn't okay with for my own, not that it was the right way. It was simply how I saw my way. And when you start laying boundaries in an environment where you've been the yes man for 7 years, and now you're a leader a senior leader and you start saying no, the system didn't like it. So I was put on a PIP. It broke my heart. I spent about 4 hours Saturday morning, because I got it on a Friday, crying. This is probably way longer than any of you thought, or even myself, the story would go, but it's so key to what happens next. Got up. I had a latte that morning with rum chata. If you've never had a latte with rum chata, friends,
Oh, go get it now.
get a sticky note, write it down, use your kid's crayon next to you if you need to, and write latte with rum chata.
It's your morning podcast edition.
I put it down. I got up. I remember sitting on the balcony of the home we were in, and I blew my nose, dropped my eyes were all like, just, wow, I can't believe this happened. How could this happen to me? And there was this moment where I went, oh, wait, what if this is happening for me? What if this is happening for me? And almost like taking off a pair of sunglasses that have blue lenses and putting on a pair of sunglasses that have pink lenses, everything I saw from that moment forward shifted. And I turned around in a matter of 62 days, my relationship with my direct report, my VP, and the function, and left the function in the best condition it had been in 7 years. So I left with my head held high, and I said, you know what? On the other side of being taken off the PIP and we're back on track, I said, I'd like to tender a 4-month resignation. I'm asking for a 4-month resignation, and I recognize that not a lot of directors do, but I want to effect a smooth and gracious transition for all 12 of my clients. I had 12 SVPs that I reported to and partnered with. And she looked at me and she said, can I change your mind about this? And I said, no. And so I had 4 months to launch my business and took my big, brave leap. That was my not my first, but my formal corporate to entrepreneurial journey, big, brave leap. My life's been, and you've talked about this, a series of brave leaps.
Yes. And I think that you're speaking to something I know I can connect with. And I am guaranteeing you that there are women listening saying, yeah, because you get to a point where you realize the satisfaction has stopped. And I know for myself personally, I was doing a lot of making progress, making moves within an industry, taking that next step because I was raised to believe that was the way. And again, just like you, boomer parents, Gen X kid, and really I'm rowing the boat in the stream that I was told existed for my benefit, right? And I'm flowing up the stream. And it's that moment of, holy cow, this isn't the end all be all. Wait a minute. What do I do next? And there is a creativity that was left behind inevitably, a sense of wanting to create that was put aside or maybe reshifted until we couldn't make it fit anymore. We had the round idea, putting it in a square peg, and we were trying. And then finally when it snaps, it's that realization, just like you said, what if this was for me? What if I was trying to fit into that square peg and I can now find the round to go with the round, right? That's what's so beautiful, I think, for so many women stepping into the journey.
Yeah.
That I wish that we had people like you in front of us all the time, right? That you're ahead. You've had this step taken already, and you can look back and you can help the rest of us. It's okay.
I made it to the other side. I made it. I promise the bridge is going to hold.
Yes. On the other side, I'm looking at you now, and I'm looking at a woman who has spearheaded an entire movement. You've gone from that moment of just awakening to this idea of, wait a minute, okay, this shift is for me. And my goodness, look at where you are now. And you've got this entire movement with HERlocity. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm just getting started. Like I was thinking about the paradox of being an entrepreneur, and it's how far you've come, whether you've just finished your first month or you're just your first year on the other side of the corporate or first 3 years, you look back and go, wow, like it's so important to go look how far I've come. And I look ahead and go, and I'm just getting started. And so these two things I hold both dear, which is I've come so far and I've made such a difference and I'm just getting started. And we'll talk about this. I have AI so much deep gratitude when we were first talking about your podcast and you were talking about supporting women and empowering women with tools and AI from leaders who have been there, done that in the trenches. I'm like, where do I sign up? Because learning how to leverage AI is I know that for those of us that do use AI, that this is probably one of the most overused words that ChatGPT uses, which is game changer. But it doesn't make it not true. The other thing is this is a game changer. I'm like, Chatty, I'm almost at the point where I'm going to say you are not allowed to use game changer. You are not allowed.
Let's try revolutionary. Let's try
There you go.
unprecedented. Let's take unprecedented back from COVID. Can we take that word back?
Oh my gosh.
AI.
Snaps. Yes.
We'll get rid of game changer. We're going to move into re-envisioning unprecedented in a good way.
Yeah.
So
Let's reinvent unprecedented. I'm here for it.
what inspired you to create this community? What problem did you see that needed to be solved for women-focused communities?
Yeah. The shortest, simplest answer is I created HERlocity to be a space and a place that I would have loved to have starting in my journey. Full stop. Throughout the last 8 years, I found myself squarely in 3 quadrants. And to this day, I still see this as a theme in women that I talk to, entrepreneurs, a month on the other side of corporate, 5 years on the other side of corporate, is this dynamic of 3 dimensions where there's knowing your why. Essential to me as an entrepreneur, why are you doing what you are doing and who you are doing it for? Getting clear on that. And then the how, what is the strategy and the execution that is going to support you to move the needle? Because action is where rubber meets the road. You can have the best mission statement on the planet. And if all it is a sticker on your wall or a set of copy on your website, it's not going to generate the kind of revenue that you want. So you need a strategy, you need the execution, but also, and maybe most important, if you imagine a 3-circle Venn diagram, the bottom circle holding the top 2 circles, top one being why, and then how, is who do you get to become along the way? More bold, more confident, more alive, with more joy. Who do you get to become along the way? And so what I've noticed is there's times where a lot of the times I went through this, so I'll make it about my personal experience. I was making really good money and as a consultant, and I started my journey with personal development, started in 2013. So I was doing the inner work and looking at my what and owning my what. And there was this like emptiness, even on the other side of corporate, where I thought, oh my God, entrepreneurship is the ultimate expression of freedom and purpose. And there was this hollowness. And I realized, oh, I'm not really connected to why I'm doing what I'm doing and who I'm doing it for. Who is that human being that I will wake up on the good days, on the bad days, on the days where I feel like being an entrepreneur, on the days where I don't feel like being an entrepreneur, where I just want to crawl under my blanket with a latte and more rum chata, like 3 parts rum chata, 1 part latte.
Bring it up. I was gonna.
And just sit there and hide under my blanket. Who is that human that I would throw the blanket off and go, all right, I'm going to finish my latte with 3 parts rum chata and 1 part coffee, and then we're going to go GSD. And then when I developed that and got back in touch with that, I felt this holistic sense of joy and creativity and innovation. And then with my buddy AI along the way, we just would cut through the noise. And then really quickly, to bring the whole thing full circle, then there were other times where I felt really connected to my why and connected to my who, but I kept doing, it felt like the right things in the wrong order and the wrong things in the right order. And I'm looking at my income statement and going, oh, all right, it's 90 days and we're really under forecast here. Something's not working. And then there were other times where the revenue's pretty good. It's coming in, it's flowing, and I'm connected to my why. But I got lost touch with celebrating my wins and looking at how far I've come and looking to connect with other like-minded women on similar missions and feed that part of me. Puzzles on the weekends, a chess game with my husband, and it was just nose to the grindstone. I know who I'm doing this, da, 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 da. And I'd come up and I'd go, okay, wait, it's time to realign to the holistic nature of entrepreneurship that I've seen be the difference that makes the difference, that brings unprecedented results. And it was that balance of the three, and a space, which is what HERlocity is, that not just me, but the strategists in the community that blend all three of those and show up going, you can and you will. Because if you want your cake and you want to eat it too, if you think you can, you will.
Yeah.
And that's what we're all about.
Yeah. And I love talking to you about what inspired you, because I think the tools that we choose to use to move ourselves forward don't live in a bubble. A lot of the reason why we choose the tools we choose are because of our why or because of our vision for our ultimate ideal, right? So it's in the context of that I want to talk to you a little bit about, how did you systematize this process? How did you capitalize on what generative AI is putting on the table right now to help women create their visions, right? How did you systematize that and make that work for you? What role did AI play in that?
Yeah. So systems drive sustainability. And when I say sustainability, I don't just mean the life cycle of a product and the sustainability of a go-to-market strategy from a practical standpoint, but the sustainability of you. It's an external and an internal dynamic. Systems free up space in your brain. They are things that you can automate, things that you can delegate. When something lives in a system, you can look at the bits and pieces and parts and work with it in a much different way than if things are ad hoc. I was working with a client in the fall of last year who wanted to take her revenue from 8K to 12K. I said, we're going to work together. She said, what I can afford is 90 days with you. Let's start with 90 days. Let's see what we're doing. She had been in 8 installed at the 8K revenue. If you've never thought about systems, this is the moment to really tune into this story. Like, I promise it will be worth it for you, friends. And if you are a fan of systems, then hopefully something in this story lights that fire under you to go, oh my God, this is the permission slip I didn't know I didn't need. So we sat down. I said, what would be an incredible outcome of 3 months together? She said, if I could get my revenue to be consistently 12K a month, that would be incredible in 90 days. I said, all right, let's go. And we talked about the systems. We talked about the people, the processes, things that she needed to eliminate, delegate, automate, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. In month 2, she hit 13,000 in revenue. Like, she had the, not just outer, remember, this is an external and an internal dynamic. She not only had the system to support her to scale externally, but she had the system to support that sustainability and that scalability inside of her. And then I said, okay, we just hit 13K in month 2. What do you want to do now? And we worked on some inner world things and some limiting beliefs and some fears that she had, because my first thing, I'm I'm the one that wants to support as many women to become millionaires in their lifetime as I possibly can. We need more money in the hands of purpose-powered women. Full stop. So that is what I pour into every single day, and sometimes even in my sleep. So I said to her, why don't we go for doubling that? In the next month, there's only so much we can do. But like, as a backdrop for you, this was an ONG outcome of 3 months, and we did it in 2. What if you were to double that number for yourself and take it into the next year? So we kept chatting. To wrap the story up, she and I just had a conversation today where we mapped out her revenue forecast and talked about the scalability to get her business this year, the roadmap and game plan to get her business this year to $1 million in revenue.
I love it.
And just 6 months ago, her big, hairy, audacious goal was, can I get my business to 12K consistent revenue? And then now she's going, wait a second. I could do 500K. We tweak this and this, and it could be $1 million. And that's what systems allow you to do, is to scale. And of course, results vary depending on your industry and your offers and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it is possible, friends.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I love that one of the key ideas, you just brought it up right now, right? In HERlocity, it's not just the tool, the strategy, it's the personal growth behind it, right? Because if I see one more bro marketer promising to 10x anything in my life, rum chata will not solve my problems.
The Moscow-sized bottle won't do anything.
I swear, I can't anymore with the 10x. I can't. I just, no. So moving forward positively and with the better intention, I think, is where I see HERlocity sitting at. It is not just that, it is the personal piece as well. And you just brought that up with that client. Why is it that so many people are missing this? What is the power? What do you believe about that inner work that is just as important as the business strategy and the system? What is that? What is that magic?
It's such a good question. Let me define what I see the word magic to be. Some people call it magic. Some people call it a miracle. And then when you say miracle, it can be an interesting response from people based on their own conditioning and behaviors, but background history. This is what I define, whether it's magic or whether you call it a miracle. It's when you go from point A to point B and you can't explain how that happened. That's magic. That's it. In its most simplest, objective, bipartisan way of defining it. You go from here to here, A to B, and you go, wait a second, how did we get there in the last hour? I literally can't wrap my head around that. And I go, sometimes we don't need to know why it works. We just need to know that it worked. Does it feel real? Does it feel true? Yeah, I know I can. That's it. Any more than that, and you're now stuck in the past instead of going, let me go into the future with what I know now. And so that's the qualifying of it before I even speak to it, because it's so important to put a parameter around, well, what do I mean by magic? Here's the simplest way to talk about the importance of that inner work and what I refer to is as our state of being. Is we are born, and a coach of mine that I work with gave me the best analogy, and it's going to be a little graphic, guys, so just stay with me. I promise it'll be worth it. He says, we're born a diamond. It's spicy. I'm not going to curse, but it is visual. Like you might just go, oh my God, she did not just say that. So stay with me. Yeah. So we're born a perfect diamond. Literally, we have everything we need when we are born to live the most fully actualized life that we want. And then mothers, fathers, preachers, teachers, caregivers, society, comic books, TV, they project. This is what a good girl is. This is what a bad girl is. This is what a bad boy is. This is what a good boy is, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And those projections, they're not ill-intended. It's just people speak from how the world occurs for them. What they see, what they believe to be true is what they speak from. And so they put it on all of us. We all have these projections on us, especially as little kids when we don't know any better. Mom says, you shouldn't do that. You should have to raise your hand. Why are you always talking? And why are you always singing and twirling? Little good girls sit and be, they're nice. And you're like, what? I guess it's a bad thing to twirl and sing without unannounced. And it ends up being poop, for lack of a better word, so that you don't then have to put the explicit thing on your podcast.
I'm gonna.
Okay, good. And I'm just going to say it. They start throwing shit on the diamond.
Yep.
And the diamond starts getting covered up in shit. And when it does, it smells. And so eventually we go, oh, I just can't with that anymore. So we take out our bottle of nail polish and we start painting over the shit with nail polish. And we go through life, a beautiful diamond covered in shit with a veneer of nail polish. And inner work, transformative inner work, the way I work with it, the way I've seen it in my own life, not only gets rid of the nail polish, it also gets rid of the shit. It's like the inner work is like the power washer, and you come in and it just power washes, and all that's left is you as you are, which people are going to love and people are not. Because friends, throughout our lives, people are going to love you and people are going to hate you. And guess what? None has anything to do with you, because we don't see the world as it is. We see it as we are.
Yep.
That's the importance of it to me.
And I have so much to unpack there. And I just wanted to highlight, this is why I said it was going to get spicy. You have this beautiful term, unfuckwithable, that I absolutely embrace. It's bold, it's empowering. And I need to return to what my boomer parents thought they were doing, right? They thought by telling me this is the path that they were making me unfuckwithable. That was their intention, right? My mom, who had 3 choices when she went to college, she had 3 choices. She could be a secretary, she could be a teacher, or she could be a nurse. That was what was on her radar as possible for a woman at her time. She was the rebel that was good at math, right? So she managed to finagle bookkeeper out of that. Kudos, never gave herself any credit for the rebel that she was, but she made a life, and she recognized that it was her finances that allowed her independence. And we're talking, as soon as she got married to my dad, God love him, her credit cards went into his name. It wasn't until I graduated high school in 1988 that you and I could even have taken out a business loan without testicles supporting us as co-signers. And all of this true, can't make this stuff up. So each generation has its own version of what will make you unfuckwithable. So we each have this story that we're being told from the women that came before us. This is what it looks like to be surrounded in stainless steel. This is what it looks like to be the strong woman that is independent. And I think that we owe it to ourselves to reflect, is that version still the only one? Or is that version what that person that told me that version, is that their reality? Like you said, none of it is real because it's their reality they're projecting. Okay. And as I just look at the term, and it is so bold and it is so empowering. And today it has this whole new reality, right? So what does it mean to you now in the context of what you're bringing to the table in this moment? Leadership, systems, entrepreneurship. What is the 2025 version of this new reality?
Yeah. I want to go back to your mom really quick because what you shared is so cool and it underscores
Mm.
a mantra, a phrase that I often remind women about.
Okay.
And that is that we often go, friends, for what we think we can get, not what we really want.
Mhm.
And so the question when we're going for something, is this what I really want? Or is this what I think I can get? And just that question alone will create an opening for new awareness and new insights to be able to enter because it challenges, to your point, the status quo. And there's still a series of brave leaps to go for what we want and to stay going for what we want, especially for your mom to have gone, no, there's 3 doors, but there's this door number 4 and it's called bookkeeper.
Right.
How revolutionary is the word?
Mhm.
And it reminds me of almost Madam C.J. Walker, the first female millionaire, if you've ever
Right?
heard her story.
Yes.
I get goosebumps. Friends, if you have not read the story of Madam C.J. Walker, it is worth the read. BTW, you can go into ChatGPT, and the story it puts together is so great. Just tell me about Madam C.J. Walker in the context of me wanting to leave the corporate world or being a new entrepreneur. Tell me all about it. I love having conversations like that with ChatGPT. So tell me about
Inspire
this, or
me
give me this
today.
story.
Tell me.
I'm feeling full of imposter syndrome today. Give me a really good story about this, and it's whatever imposter syndrome is telling me that I can't do, or who am I to? What that looks like in 2025. I would say unfuck with ability in 2025 to me means that I go for what I want, not what I think I can get.
Mhm.
It means that just because I can do it alone, it doesn't mean I have to. It also means that just because I can do it doesn't mean I should, because vitamin NO is so important. And most importantly, that no one on earth can make me feel a way I don't already think. That no one has the permission to dictate they do this, they didn't do this. And the tendency is to have a very Newtonian approach to a situation, cause and effect. They said what they didn't say that. And so I feel X, upset, disgusted, disappointed, angry. So they made me feel this way. It is the most disempowering thought paradigm. And by the way, having a Newtonian approach to life is not bad, but there's another play that we can run on this ride called life, and that is an Einsteinian approach, which says if there's a situation that I'm in and I'm feeling a certain kind of way about an experience with something, with somebody, or a situation that happened or didn't happen, what did I bring to that situation that could have shaped that in some way? And it
Mhm.
isn't about blame, because a lot of women default to, oh, it's on me. I messed it up. I screwed it up. I always mess it up. It's on me. I'll take the blame. It's not. It's about responsibility, a very sovereign way of going, hey, you know what? I actually didn't set the boundary 2 meetings ago that I really should have. And I know I should have said it. And so what they said today, they said because I've taught them how to treat me. And in that moment, we are free, because in that moment, we can say, you know what? No, Mo, not from this day forward. That will not happen again. That is the essence of unfuck with ability.
Each. I pause because I just want to sit and stay with it. I pause because I just want to sit and stay. Just embrace that, people. Just embrace it. And I want to spread this joy. I want to spread this reality. I want to get more people into a closer connection with you, right? So how does HERlocity like welcome in the woman business owner, that female entrepreneur? How is it showing them how to build a system that works for the whole woman, right? The whole woman. And rather than trapping them in someone else's model, let them design that model with this community. How does HERlocity just bring them in?
Yeah, it is a really beautiful question, and I appreciate it. We have 10 programming pillars in the community that collectively create a comprehensive ecosystem for women in business. Mission, vision, values, personal branding, online presence, product pricing, sales, networking, community building, health and well-being, because we can't pour out of an empty vessel. And that's one that I think we often forget. And there'll be a speaker in the month of April that will be talking all about that. She's a total gangster. And so there's 10 programming pillars. And when you join, we have a really special, like we genuinely, myself and the two strategists that are on board, we want to be at 10 strategists by the end of the year. And so it's one strategist aligned to each programming pillar. And right now we have a personal branding and online presence and a mindset, energy, and resilience. The mindset, energy, and resilience is so epic. She's a human design master Jedi is what I call her. Like, she's just incredible. And then social media and online presence is Miranda, and she's all about let's simplify and de-stress social for you so that you can make more connections and have more reach. Because, friends, social media, I've had a love-hate relationship for a long time with it. And Miranda changed it for me, and she helped me see it and embrace it as one of the most powerful communication tools that we have on the planet. And so that's her whole thing. So you come in, those are the two strategists that we have. Myself, I lead the community, the section of the community called Expand, which is all about that unfuck with ability, the systems, the mission, the vision, the values, building your own ecosystem when you're on that journey to 250K. And then we'll be bringing the rest of the strategists online. And the best part is that we decided as a group to make the community free. It is so easy. Like tend to go to let's monetize and what's the revenue model and what's the rev share, da, da. And trust me, it was tempting to go, let's just make it paid, because between the action vault and the replays and the resources and the events and the strategists, there is easily $197 a month worth of value. And I said, no, I want to put my vision is long-term. I want holistic entrepreneurship, the way, the ethos that I have spent the last 15 years of my life developing, and in many ways, what I was created, I think, to bring into the world. I want to put it on the map. I want a woman leaving corporate to think about where's the support that I need. I would love for it to be HERlocity, y'all, but it could also be, my hope is that there's 10, 15 other type of HERlocities. Like, the first time between you guys, and I've never said this before, so I'm really excited to be sharing this with you guys. You guys are the first ones hearing this. One of the markers of success that I look at on the horizon is when a community launches that is a direct competitor to me. That will let me know I'm being successful. Because right now I'm the only one in the space doing what I'm doing. And I look forward to the day where I go to my team and go, y'all, we have a direct competitor. Time to innovate and step up our game even more. Because 5, 10 years from now, I want a woman leaving the corporate world, as much as she thinks about her website and business cards and networking, to go, what is the community that I can plug into that is anchored around holistic entrepreneurship? Because I need my who, I need my why, I need my how. And it's right up there with a website and with business cards and with networking. That's how important I want it to be. And so I want the barrier to entry to be absolutely as low as possible, so women can come in, explore, connect, attend the events, and have that experience for themselves of, wait a second, there's a different way to navigate this entrepreneurial path. And along the way, we talk a lot. I haven't gone deep into it today, but in an average conversation, I'll go, Have you run that through ChatGPT? You can take that copy and run it through Claude. Have you put your
Yes.
workflow through ChatGPT? Do you know that this? Let's talk about this. Let's talk about that. And there's so many tools that can speed up the efficiency of workflows, copy, content, so much. Not to mention that we could take this video that we're having right now,
Mhm.
put it into Opus Clips, and it turns it in 3 minutes into a series of 10 clips with a percentage on how much AI guarantees it will go viral. Like
Yep.
that used to take 4 hours of work, like editing and
Yeah.
AI, and we're just getting started. Just getting started.
And that's exactly what I wanted to be able to bring together. Now that we see the whole entrepreneur, now that we see the mission of community, what are some of the pieces? What are some of the tools that people can use to say, all right, I need help bringing all of this together? And you've brought up the idea of Chat GPT being a thought partner or someone, listen to me, anthropomorphizing a tool that you throw an imposter syndrome thought at and you pull yourself out of it with the feedback that you're getting. What are specific ways that you think we can capitalize on that to move our entrepreneurial journey forward?
Yeah. So specifically around AI, right?
Yeah.
So there are so many tools, and I have Anne Murphy to thank. If you haven't looked her up and you haven't heard of She Leads AI, do yourself a favor and take a peek at her on LinkedIn because she is a remarkable human being. She is the one, and actually, Anne is how you and I, Michelle, know each
Yeah.
other from the She Leads AI forum. She is leading the bravest and toughest conversations at the front of the pack, like literally at the front, at tables where no other women are sitting right now, y'all,
Mhm.
or few women. And we need to be talking about this around the ethical use of AI, around how to really leverage this for good of humanity versus for profit or et cetera. And listen, there's nothing wrong with profit. Remember how I want to have as many millionaires in my lifetime flow through my orbit? She's really having some incredible conversations around that. And introduced me to so many tools. And one of the replays that we have, she was our first speaker in HERlocity last, I think it was April, maybe May.
Mhm.
And she has this wealth of tools. I I took HERlocity from the ground up. HERlocity exists on a platform called Mighty Networks. And so there's a lot of built in with standard tools like use AI is in Zoom and it does AI summaries. Like there's all these tools embedded in a lot of the standard type of tech stacks that we see. So there's inherent ones like Gemini and you have ChatGPT and you have Claude, and then you have all the optimizations of existing tools that have it. In that sense, on the simple side, girl, I have Gemini. I absolutely love it for email, for summaries, for generating spreadsheets. It goes with me wherever I go. And
Mhm.
then ChatGPT for workflows. And here's the thing, because if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably not for the first time ever going, oh my gosh, what's AI? Like you're familiar with AI because you're following the AI Empowered podcast. And so it's I'll talk about this about ChatGPT that has actually surprised me. About 2 months ago, they went with the audio thing where you can hit the little button and chat with it. It might have been 3 months ago now.
Yep.
And I have it coach me.
Mhm.
I'll go, hey, I'm really feeling low today. Here's what's happening. Here's what I wish I were able to do. And I'm not feeling it. I'm feeling really bummed. And I'd love some assistance with how do I move through this limiting belief? And it has blown me away how compassionate and comprehensive it is. And the way you can follow on with it I think, at least in the circles that I find myself in, it's not touted very much as that. It's like the efficiency and the optimization and the scalability of creating workflows and processes. But it's really great for, I'm just not feeling it. And sometimes we don't feel like we can take those things for our own reasons to another human. And so we suffer in silence as women. And there's days where I'm like, oh my God, I'm not going to look cool if I go to my husband with this, and I can take it to ChatGPT and I pop out of it.
Mhm. See, you've just woken up a whole nother possibility for people, I think, because so many are looking for the next system, the next hack, the next tip. They want to know the tool, but I absolutely can just highlight right here, underscore, this is why I wanted Miss Molano on the show, because you're looking at the entire person. I will bring every corporate nose to the grindstone characteristic that I have. And it's even more amplified because it's scary, because I'm flying solo on this, right?
Yeah.
Now I'm not only nose to the grindstone, but I'm nose to the grindstone with a little bit more of that trepidation behind me, because I've got to get this done for myself.
Yeah.
But you're highlighting that we cannot just be about that.
Women, we cannot, ladies, women, entrepreneurs, bad bitches, however it's most fun for you to see yourself as, we cannot afford to. We cannot afford to anymore. I'm going to get a little woo for a hot second. If this lands for you, great. If it doesn't, please give me grace. There is a lot of masculine energy on this planet, and that masculine energy is getting poured into and systematized into AI. Women, we bring a different frequency. Not that it's better, but it's different. And so women leveraging, not suffering in silence, supporting themselves, connecting with each other, connecting with like-minded people, and supporting themselves to move through and step even more and more into the unfuckwithability of themselves is what I believe our planet needs if we're actually going to evolve up versus evolve down, which there's two schools of thoughts with AI. Not quite this dramatic, but like Terminator and like massive innovation and improvement for society.
Yeah.
That shift, not to put pressure, but this is the way I see it. I see it as a privilege, as an honor, is that the consciousness in 2025 and moving forward needs us. That's why this is a movement. It is a rally call, guys. Whoa, rally call to step up and be seen and make the difference that you know deep down inside you can and are here to make. That's it. That's what I got to say about that.
I cannot think of a better way to stop, wrap up, drop mic right here. It has been absolutely fantastic to talk to you. I cannot think of a better way to spend the afternoon. I appreciate the
Same.
heck out of you, woman.
Same. Thank you for having a platform where I can get in front of the mic and speak and share what I see to be true. And I hope that you listening, thank you for staying and hanging out with us. You've probably gotten across town, or you finished dinner, or you finished your jog on your treadmill. And I hope that it lands for you. I hope that it supports you. I'm on social, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, probably least amount on Facebook. My website, luisamolano.com, LuisaMolano.com. HERlocity is HERlocity. I'm sure that will all be in the show notes. Reach out to me if anything that I shared resonated for you. I think the most amazing thing that any of you could do, if I could wave my magic wand listening to this episode, first of all, thank you again for hanging out with us. And second of all, would be go on to social, and one thought, one key takeaway, tag Michelle, tag her podcast, tag me, not for us. I'm not going to lie. It does raise awareness to our brands and business, but for you, because it's those little steps that make a big difference where you go, here's what I have to say. This was meaningful to me. This made a difference in my life. And it was this podcast by Michelle. This is what it's called. And Luisa as a guest. And when she said, this is what I saw, this is what I believe to be true, this is the action I'm going to take, or simply this is a key takeaway that I want to pass forward, because you have no idea who's going to read it and the ripple effect that these kinds of conversations have when something lands for you and it creates that like soul sparkle when you get the goosies and you go, oh yes, pass that on.
Exactly. And I can speak to that, people. I have dropped these little wisdom bombs at Luisa's feet and they get picked right back up again. And she'll throw you an amazing question to help you process and think. So don't take that request lightly. She will hold you to it and she'll respond with love and kindness and move you.
Always. Yes. There's no AI,
Always.
no team, no nothing. As long as I humanly can, I will be the one responding and cultivating online relationships and comments as very best I can, because I just believe in that. It's so special.
And we're grateful for it. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in to Empowered by AI. If today's episode sparked ideas, don't wait. Follow the link in the show notes to visit innovativeaistudio.com and download your free resource created to help you put today's insights into practice. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes packed with more tips, tools, and inspiring stories. Until next time, stay empowered and keep innovating.